Today, traveling across the United States is pretty easy. Cars, buses, trains, and planes can carry us from one place to another in almost no time at all. But in the early 1800s, none of these forms of transportation existed. Instead, people who wanted to travel across the country had to make difficult journeys that took months and cost some people their lives. Why would people make such difficult and dangerous journeys? And who were the leaders who guided them? The Spanish had migrated to and settled in California in the 1700s, and after Mexico gained its independence from Spain in 1821, Mexican settlements grew. Before long, many people living in the eastern United States headed west and began to settle in California as well. They started to migrate, to move from one place to another. Some people even came to California from Europe by immigrating to the United States or coming into another country to live. But why did so many people leave their homes and their homelands to move to California? Some sought farmland, others sought goods that they could trade, and still others just wanted to explore the land along North America's west coast. As more people migrated and immigrated to California, the population began to expand or grow larger. Most of the settlers who migrated to California came from the East Coast. At this time, traveling from the East Coast to the West Coast of North America was difficult and dangerous. There were only two ways to go. One way was to travel by ship. Settlers could either sail around Cape Horn, a voyage that took up to 8 months to complete, or they crossed the Isthmus of Panama, a narrow strip of land that separated the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The other way was to travel over land on foot or in wagons. They followed one of several routes, most often the California Trail or the Santa Fe Trail to the Old Spanish Trail. The overland trip from Missouri to California took about 6 months and passed over rivers, mountains, and deserts, features that most travelers had only dreamed of seeing. Several early explorers made overland journeys possible by mapping the western areas of North America. Following the Louisiana Purchase in 1804, Meriwether Lewis and William Clark set out to explore the western lands that the United States had just gained through the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. In 1805, they reached the Pacific Ocean. William Clark drew maps of their route. In 1826, Jedediah Smith led a group of American trappers west through the Mojave Desert to California. In 1841, John Bidwell led the first wagon train from the east to California. And throughout the early 1840s, another adventurer, John C. Fremont, explored the far west. From his travels, maps of this region were created for the U.S. government. Around 1850, an African-American guide known as James Beckwourth discovered what is now known as Beckwourth Pass, which branched off from the California Trail and headed north and west. The maps that resulted from the journeys of these explorers and settlers and the trails that they blazed enabled settlers to migrate west in ever-increasing numbers. And as the number of settlers from the east increased, Mexico's control of the region decreased. In 1845, the last Mexican governor sent to California from Mexico City stepped down. He was replaced by a local ranchero, or ranch owner, named Pio Pico, whose family had come to California from Mexico in 1775. Pico was the last governor of Mexican California. California's farmland, coast, and forest attracted many settlers who were willing to risk the high seas or the hot deserts to journey westward. For these explorers and pioneers, their journeys and their futures have become a part of California's glorious past.